I want to talk to you today about the grief process. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross originally came up with the grief process when she was looking at people who were given news of a terminal illness and looked at how they came to grips with the fact that they were going to die. But in reality, we go through the grief process with any loss. It could be loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loss of a dream, loss of a hope, loss of finances, loss of your health. Anything that you go through that's a significant loss is going to require you to actually grieve. It's healthy and it's good. So there are 5 stages, and the acronym for me is DABDA, D-A-B-D-A. The first one is denial or shock. This is a protective thing that your brain does that kind of cushions the blow. It's painful, it's overwhelming, so your brain goes into a shock state. Doesn't let you really feel for sure that it's true. Same thing happens to you physically when you're injured. Your body goes into a state of shock. It's protective. So for a while, that cushion kind of tells you, no, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, it's not happening, this isn't happening. And then slowly you open yourself up to the fact this is happening. The next one is anger. And anger is the time of getting out that energy, that blame, that feeling that this isn't just, this isn't fair, this isn't right, and you're upset about it. It might be anger at God, it might be anger at yourself, other people, circumstances. The anger needs to come out. You don't need to stuff that anger. The next one is B for bargaining. Bargaining is figuring out how could this have been prevented? What could you have done? What could the other person have done? What could have happened differently? I was recently in an automobile accident, which was not my fault. I was in a slow lane and it was going too slow and I didn't really need to be in that lane. So I pulled out of the lane into the middle lane, which was going normal traffic. When I did that, someone pulled down in front of me and I was not able to stop. So I ended up having to hit him. So after that, because an accident is not pleasant, even if I don't get hurt, it did total my car, which I did not want to have totaled. You go back and I was thinking, oh, if only I hadn't have gotten out of that lane, if I had just stayed in that lane and not been there, then the whole thing would have prevented. This is our natural way our mind works as we're moving toward acceptance of something that's difficult. So you might say, if only I had not met this person, or if only I had stayed longer, or if only I had lived in a different place, or if somebody would have told me what was going on. This is your attempt to figure out how to undo it. Then the next one is depression, D, or sadness. This is when you feel hopeless and you feel down and you feel blue and you feel that grief in the middle of your gut and it just hurts really bad. Most people think that that is what grief is. That is only one part of grief, but it is necessary to feel that. It's necessary to go through that, as uncomfortable as it is. Now you may go back and forth through these out of order. Maybe the denial, shock, and then the anger, and then some sadness, and then some bargaining, and some more anger, and back to sadness. However long you need to stay there, the deeper, bigger things will take longer. The final outcome is A, acceptance. Acceptance means you accept that it's happened. It's real, it happened, you can't do anything to prevent it, you've grieved the loss, and now on the other end, you're adapting to it. You're moving on, putting it into a perspective. That's healthy. So the grief process needs to be worked through in your life for any loss. So be aware of it. Be aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and that these stages are not unhealthy. They're healthy. They're necessary. They're a healthy working out of loss, coming out on the other end. So instead of stuffing it, stuffing your anger, feeling like there's something wrong with you that you're sad, or there's something wrong with you that you're doing this thing in your head where you're bargaining, recognize it. You're going through the healthy grief process. And in the end, you're going to come out with acceptance, which is going to be a really good place. All right, thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship. I hope you'll come back and watch some more.